Warriors, runners, and gods of the time stream, look to your left and salute the new war chief of Thorn. Try not to look to your right at the human turning into a repulsive demon. Grab a chair, conjure a table, and join us to talk about all things the Dungeon Run. On today's watch party, we are going to be discussing two episodes, episode 89, Lingering into Darkness, and episode 90, The Coronation of the War Chief. Big roller coaster, this watch party, so be prepared for that. And at the end of today's watch party, we're introducing and debuting a new segment called Eyewitness News. Originally, a group of us got together as a labor of love to do this when Jeff had his downtime, to hopefully let him smile, let him know that we cared and that he was appreciated. And so we kind of took parts of that and combined it with new updated segments of important, relevant information that we think all Ein citizens need to know. So we hope you guys enjoy that. We hope that that's fun. And last but not least, as you can see, this is not our usual format. We had tons of tech issues. I filmed this without my tech guy. Thank you again, Dyson Capes, for being amazing and part of my team. This is what it looks like when a Failwaffle is in charge of tech, and they were just cringe, laugh, and facepalm with me. So thank you for putting up with that. And to the Amulet Council. Joining me on the watch party today, we have the usual, the wonderful, the talented, the talkative Raven Queen, aka Renee. And joining us for the second time, due to our special occasion of having a new segment, we thought who better to bring back than the sassy, the amazing, force of good representative, Anthropormic Muppet, aka Shannon. Hello.
Good
How
try.
Are you guys doing today?
The usual.
Super good.
Good. All right. So I know we have a limited amount of time today, so I thought we would kind of, instead of taking it episode by episode, kind of combine them into topics and see how it goes when we ever follow suit. I will give my overall thoughts on both episodes after all, and then kind of dive into them separately. I thought that both episode 89, Lingering Darkness, and episode 90, The Coronation of the War Chief, both had really, really good highs, and for me, kind of really low lows. Both episodes were genuinely a roller coaster. That's why I think it makes sense to talk about them together. For me, what stood out in the last couple of episodes that were really good highs were obviously the James and Shothergot stuff is just really great. But we'll dive into that. Overall, I think I give episode 89, with the amount of lore drop, and I'm going to give episode 89 probably a 6. I think a solid 6. And then for reasons we're going to get into, I loved the ending of episode 90. I really did. I thought it had a very strong second half, but the first half really infuriated me. And I cannot justify giving that episode any more than a 6.5. Even though the ending of that episode was so good. So if you guys don't have opening thoughts,
I always have thoughts. What do you mean? You said I was talkative.
Opening thoughts. The usual
opening thoughts.
Queen.
100% agree. Not with the ratings, but I agree. High highs, low lows. James stuff on point. Lore drops.
So good. Yeah. For real.
And that second half of episode 90, the ending, I told you, Shannon. MVP, Morgan Peter Brown. for me, and he was my gold star winner for episode 90, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. The second half really saved episode 90 for me.
Mm-hmm.
We're all in agreement. It's so true. And I would argue that for me, James is the MVP of both episodes. I think he really held down the fort when it comes to he led the high roller coasters for me. But Shannon, I'm glad you agree. Yeah, I thought episode 90 it ended super strong, which is the best we could ask for, right? To end on like, I'm gonna be honest, when episode 90 ended, it was like I got that adrenaline that I used to get in a lot of the episodes where I'm amped up, I'm excited, so much happened, I don't want to sleep, like true adrenaline. It was so awesome to have that feeling at the end of episode 90. It was just wonderful. So let's get into it. I kind of wanted to start by talking about, since the technically Ugo becoming war chief right after defeating Braca, what were your guys' thoughts overall on the kind of like the orc storyline and the everything going on with that? Shannon, I actually want to start with you.
Okay. My Wi-Fi keeps kind of cutting in and out. It says my connection here is unstable. I'm really sorry about that. I'm gonna do the best I can.
You're wonderful.
I've got to tell someone downstairs, ease up on the Wi-Fi. All right. let me have my moment.
Yeah, yes. By all means.
Okay. I really love the Orc Village. I feel like I'm there when Jeff is describing it. Like I can really imagine what it's like, what it looks like, what it smells like, what it feels like, where things are. I feel like I'm there, and I think that is all. I mean, yeah, it's all Jeff, duh, but like, because Jeff is amazing. Yes. But I love that that we get that, so that when we have interactions and story, we can picture those things happening in this location because we're there too. And I didn't feel like that as much in Old Scotch. So it's been a minute.
Okay, so you really felt like you were in the Thorn storyline, like you felt.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. What did you like about it? Like what? Besides Jeff being amazing, obviously.
Besides Jeff being amazing, just always is. I really liked the interactions that Ugo had with the elder.
Bogash.
Mm-hmm. They kept calling him Brogash. Yeah, either one. Like I guess maybe they were just good friends. So Brogash, right? So I like the interactions with them, and what we're getting out of all of that is more into who the orcs are, and they become three-dimensional for me, and I need that. That's what I feel like I'm missing that lately, just because like everything is real two-dimensional, and like you just sort of see surface things, and we're getting a lot of depth in Thorn, and I really appreciate that.
All right, Renee.
So I mean I agree with the 3D, but I disagree because I felt that way in Old Spotch. I could see, like in my mind's eye, I could see exactly where things were, especially Jeff has always done that for me. When I listen to him, I frequently close my eyes and I can picture where things are pretty clearly. So I usually have no problem with that aspect. Thorn for me also, I don't know. I wanted to be in it, and we had that problem when we talked about it before about leaving Old Swatch and having that kind of ball and chain, and then leaving that behind and moving forward. And I wanted to be in Thorn, but I'm just not. There's so many outstanding things, like I don't know, the whole skipsy doodle dip feed part that we're just gonna yeah, skip right on over and kind of go do other things and not really ponder that for a bit, or just other huge moments that for me were really big that I was like, whoa, how are we just gonna boop, 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 you know, like how are we just gonna gloss right over that? That's kind of that's a big deal, bro. And then like I know Ugo said he wanted to have a meeting of he said a moot, but you know, a meeting of people, and I thought that was a really great idea to get them all in and sit them down and have this discussion of how it was going to be now. And I was like, great, let's do that. But then again, here we go, changing plans and doing other things. And I was like, welp, okay, cool, all right, so all right. Okay. And then I got lost, and then I was like, well, what are we actually doing? I was fine. It reminded me of like when we hung out, the city of Scrap, or we hang out in cities sometimes and we have that downtime. And I'm fine with that. That's totally fine. But then there comes a time where I'm like, okay, but what are we actually doing?
Roger.
Because there's things that we should be doing. We should be worried about certain things. You know, everything's not okay. You're kind of running from things at the moment.
Well, I think that's a perfect segue into my thoughts. Overall, the arc storyline, this was one of the ones I was super excited for. Ugo's backstory, the thorn, the big confrontation, how it was all going to go down.
Same.
Overall, though, for me, the orc storyline, it fell a little flat just because for me it felt very overall convoluted. So right off the bat, Ugo, first thing he does is talks about a moot, getting the leaders together, building a science center, and to each their own. But my first thought was, okay, half of the leaders are at war with each other, which you have acknowledged, and the other half are keeping demons out of their cities. They're literally working their butts off to just survive. And this is not appropriate time to talk about calling leaders together. On top of that, a science center, you're at war. That whole conversation overall felt very post-campaign to me. And kind of what you were saying, Renee, for me, that was very much like, hello, well, I want, like, it seems like, well, there's so much more here before we can even talk about those things. Did you forget that we have demons around the whole world? It just, that whole conversation felt very post-campaign to me, and it wasn't present in what was actually happening. And then just to give two more examples of how I just overall felt, it was very kind of opposite of you, Shannon, very one-dimensional, is it just, one, I know people have tried to answer it for me, but I try really hard to get in the nitty-gritty details. And yes, full disclosure, I'm not a casual fan. I'm a very
Oh, you're not?
I know.
Me either.
I would consider myself I get into it. So for example, the whole speech / conversation Ugo had with one of the random orcs in the town, the first thing that they both said was, well, death is the end. And Ugo was like, yeah, it is, but don't be scared. And they had this whole conversation about fear and not being afraid of death. But that conversation completely contradicts what little I did know and understand about orc culture. Like, I love that the orcs don't view death as the end. In Ain, I can't speak for D&D lore, but at least in Ain, Sharn at Whitebeard's funeral, simple but powerful. Death is not the end. And Ugo really did a great job at explaining around the whole Chobran storyline that, we view death as a phase. And that's one of the reasons why orcs aren't afraid of death. That's why they're fearless warriors. They just view it as another stage. So that whole conversation where I understand, it was just kind of, I assume, like a role play in the moment kind of error. But for them to have a whole conversation about how, like, well, death is the end and that's scary, I was like, this literally contradicts everything I understand. And now I'm just, all right, I'm confused. And then on top of that, my understanding, again, of the orc culture is you're the leader. It's almost like a dictatorship in terms of the leader says, might is right, what the leader says goes. So I don't understand how, in theory, we can put Braca on trial still, unless one, are trials a thing in orc culture? Is that also something that Ugo is trying to change? And what does all that actually look like? For me, overall, I felt like I'm just supposed to go with it without truly understanding the depth. And now that you're giving us some depth, and we're going to pass leadership on and bounce. And I'm just like, oh, okay. I know I said a lot, so kind of give me your thoughts. I'm sorry.
Do you want to go?
No, go ahead.
Well, okay, to be fair, to your point about having the moot, I also did not think, like, right now we should all go and do that. I thought this is something cool that would be good in the future. You know, like, I didn't think let's drop what we're doing and do that. I thought, great, or let's get our orc groups, you know, to stop fighting each other and to look, you know, like to fight, you know, demons or whatever together. Let's all, you know, group up, but like later. Let's not like drop our current quest or whatever and do that now. You know, I never thought, oh, that's a good thing to do at present.
No, I sort of felt like it was, you know, campaign promise, part of the 5-year plan.
Yeah. What are you going to do in 10 years? Oh, in 10 years, I plan to get, you know, have a moot and eventually, you know, build a science center. And I thought that was great. I thought it was a great 10-year, 5-year plan, but not.
See, 100%. Like, I get that. I mean, I wanted it you have an army now. I would like for them to focus on the here and the now. Let's take the army to Ukdoon and figure out what's going on. Let's take the army and, you know, send scouts to find information on the demons or the Ashen Mage. I mean, make your town and what you've just accomplished relevant to the here and now. I don't feel like that really happened. And at the end of the day, like I said, it feels like all they did was talk about, I guess, what we're all agreeing is the 5-year plan. And, oh, yeah, by the way, I'm going to, again, bounce.
Okay, so, I mean, Ugo, like, from the beginning, he was, you know, kind of, you know, playing, you know, unsure and, you know, kind of the uneducated role. But now, you know, before we got to Thorn, he seemed more sure of himself, you know, like he was, you know, I'm a paladin now. I'm, you know, more, you know, whatever, intelligent wisdom, you know, all that stuff is coming into play here now. I can read, I can write, all that stuff is happening now. But in Thorn, he's like, I don't know how to lead the whole time, but the whole time he was doing that. He was, in fact.
I feel like that's pretty normal though. Like that's
no,
whole,
but
like,
even
imposter syndrome.
Even still, though, he was doing a great job, and I was like, "No, dude, you're doing a great job. You're doing just fine." And, you know, he spent a long time, like a lot of the campaign thus far, about how nobody listens to him, and he, you know, he says things that are right, and nobody hears him, nobody does this. But now he's in a spot where he is the chieftain, he is the war chief, and people listen to him now. So we'll say the things, they're gonna listen to you. You know, I mean, that's what they do now. You're the big man, so say the things, do the things, man. I believe in you. They have to, you know, I mean.
Well, and I think, like, for me, it just goes back to what I said, the convoluted part. I think I would have been more invested in Ugo's words and invested in what he was trying to do if I just understood or had more meat to the storyline in general. Because for me, I'm just like, but Shannon, I really do agree with what you said. And that goes to back to episode 90, the ending, the second half of that episode being gold, in my opinion. Yeah. I did love how Jeff set the scene for the you know, the coronation. I loved how, again, the meat part. Okay, this is how the orcs introduce a new leader, and the feast, and even the different stuff that are there. Like, it was wonderfully set. And again, then it was where I was like, okay, now I'm buying into this, like this. And then when you met Bogash, and even I actually really loved the metal bard, you know,
Simdala.
Yeah, like we really got to see more of like the orcs and how they perceived things and what they thought and where they stood, and just I loved it, like them interacting with the party, and I thought all of that was great. But in theory, you know, I don't know how much more of that we're going to get. My understanding is they're getting ready to wrap up Thorn and leave. So I think if they started here and kept going a little bit.
I think they had mentioned too that they had other stuff they wanted to do. Maybe they'll come back. Like they were going to go back to Oldswatch eventually. So this is maybe part of the 5-year plan. Also,
and for the record, I'm pretty sure you guys are agreeing, but I'm sorry if they go back to Oldswatch, I will riot. They just let it be, man. Just let it be. With that being said, I loved every scene with Braca. I think the more we get of Braca, I'm not gonna lie, I'm drinking his Kool-Aid. I think, just not shocking, I think Braca's really cool, and I think he had so much he added a lot more to the Thorin storyline and how he views not just ruling Thorin, but he focused on the situation at hand and what was going on. And oh man, that conversation, well, let's get into it then. His conversation with James was wonderful. I mean, honestly, best conversation and scene of 2021 for me. He was talking about, this ain't about us mortals, and like, you need to get with the program on what the bigger picture looked like this is why I've done what I've done. And the fire between James and Braca was so strong. I want to hear how you guys feel about it before I
take it away, Shannon.
I 100% agree. Absolutely agree. That was the top moment of the entire episode. That was it. And yeah, that was James's moment, and he knew what to do with it, and it was perfect.
Mm-hmm. I feel like even when he was just the burns, they both kept going with each other. I felt very emotional when James was like, let me guess a few things about you. And it was like, you probably, grew up feeling lonely and like all those things. It was like he was jabbing Braca, but he was also speaking from his heart. Like, he knew very well that was his experience. And it was just like, oh. And I thought it was really good character development of how far James has come from feeling like that lonely kid that even as an adult, just useless to where and how he feels now. He's definitely separating himself from that, and it was just so lovely. Even the Braca's reaction to how he was just kind of like, dang, like he's frustrated because he knows James is right. But what are your thoughts, Renee?
Well, just on that convo or James, because I have thoughts on both. So James.
Okay, James.
Oh, the convo. Okay, great. No, I 100% agree. And I also really like the conversation. It reminded me of when James didn't really talk to another that reminded him of himself.
Yes.
And so he got, which would be the Viscount. Obviously, he saw some similarities in the Viscount, which he said before, and he didn't really get to talk to that guy. But he actually got to talk to this one, just him and Braca one-on-one, and actually really got to have a conversation. So I am glad that he finally got to have the talk that he didn't have previously with somebody that reminded him of himself. He was able to say things and really get what he was thinking out from somebody that is very similar and that shares those things with him. The whole warlock not sleeping bit.
100%. Overall, that conversation was authentic. It allowed to see both sides of the warlock coin. Braca and James clearly having very different perspectives. It allowed us to see a genuine conversation between the two sides of the coin, and they were both being just upfront with each other, and it was wonderful. And then even when, my favorite line, we don't do this as often on the show, sorry, so it made it so wonderful that we were able to hold the tension and hold the intensity of the scene and play it out, and just play it out. No comedic jokes, no breaking character. It was wonderful to just sit with it to the end until they gagged him and James walked out of the room. Like, it was wonderful. And I love how they afterwards made the joke of like, Silence of the Lambs, and Jeff was like, Clarice. But it really held it. And I love how James was like, one of two things is going to happen. And Braca was like, or I'm right and I kill you. Like, you could cut the tension with the knife.
But I love that James was like, maybe you're right.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yes. It was just,
it was just so candid and so great.
It was answer.
It was great.
Seriously, Jeff and Morgan, conversation of the year. It could
So
not
good.
have, again, that Judge Renolin, the reason I watched the show, it was right down into what was going on. It was just wonderful from start to finish. What amazing role play.
Yes.
For
Can we
sure.
talk more about James? No?
Yes, let's go, Renee. There's a few other things that I want us to make sure we cover, but go, James.
Yeah, so James has been phenomenal of late. I was concerned he when he started getting all weirdy with our buddy, hiding things, not doing things, that sort of thing. I was concerned that when he was getting reckless there for a little bit in Oldswatch and just doing things, saying that he didn't have a lot of time and he was on borrowed time and he was just doing things. He was pushing to go in and do things and whatever. But I like that to me, it seems like he's doing it now in a more, how can I do the most with what I think is the time I have left? What can I do that is the most productive and the most useful of my time? And I like that he is, it's like an inner look at James. Okay, these things are happening. There's nothing I can do about it. What can I do that is helpful? And I really like it. I really like that it's like a long, hard look at himself. The outward's not so much the problem it's a problem. It's obviously a problem, but he's really taking the logical approach in speaking with Braca and getting the more information or doing those things and taking the librarian logical knowledge approach. And I really, really love how he's past the denial and all of that and into the acceptance, and we're moving on to what can I do. I really love it. I really love where he's going. I really do.
Shannon?
I really appreciate that James is embracing the reality of the situation. Like, was it like with Defeat? And did he embrace that reality?
He did.
Oh, okay. So
kind of
that is, right. Not like we can fix it. Come on, we'll just
conversation for a different time, right?
We'll fix it.
Right. Yeah.
Okay,
it wasn't one of those.
Sure. Conversation for a different time. But he's embracing the reality of his own situation as well. He's not. I did not get the feeling that he was creating a dramatic moment for himself. Like, this was really this was the next logical step for his character. And as far as, a story, like a narrative arc, we're still in rising action right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're supposed to be on the edge of our seats as we are like headed towards, a climax of something maybe awful. And it kind of feels like we ride that arc and then we plateau, and then we ride that arc and then we plateau. And right now, like, we're riding that arc again. It's exciting.
I love it.
Yep. And to both of you, to kind of piggyback on something both of you said, 100% agree. I know I won't get too deep into the details, but James has kind of expressed secret room in general. So I'll speak in general terms. Even that secret room in episode 89 was magical. And for me, it was almost as if, like, kind of what you were both saying. He had his bluffs. He had, James is always thinking 1,000 solutions. And he came to Shothragat in that secret room and he was like, this is my play. And as we all see, it didn't work. Like, he wasn't buying it. And even in that secret room, again, I'll be vague, kind of what you both were saying, he was so genuine. It was like, okay, I lost. My plea didn't work, and I'm just going to be genuine now. And this is where I stand, and it'll be where it'll be. But it played out, and I wish I could go in detail, but it played out so wonderfully. And it was so just from the heart. Like, part of yeah, like James was like, it was a mix of at first feeling defeat, but then acceptance. And then like, he was like, this is where I'm at. I'm going to let it hit me now. And it was so, like you said, in that story arc, in that build up, it's so perfect for where we're at. And now we're all kind of like what's going to happen next? And it's so wonderful. And that definitely, that secret room played perfectly into why James responded the way he did with Braca. And it's just pure joy. It's amazing. I cannot stress enough how James has been the MVP these past few episodes. I'm really feeling it. Yeah, I'm in it. I'm seeing it where we're literally walking this journey with him these past 2 episodes.
Yeah. He went from hiding it, like he hid it from them.
Which, don't get me wrong, for where we were at, I was cool with it.
Oh no, I was great too. But then there came a point where he was like, you know what? What's the point? What's the point in hiding it? I'm tired of hiding it. I might as well just face it. Let me just face it. Hey guys, you know, if you say you're my family, this is what it is.
See, for me, I didn't even see it as I'm not going to hide it anymore. I really felt it was more like I thought he was a little too big for his britches. He was like, I'm gonna.
He said family, though. He said, this is what I get for choosing my family.
No. But that's what I mean in terms of, I think it was more, he realized he wasn't going to outplay the deity. And it was like,
oh, well,
now I'm just going to accept that. And I'm choosing this. And I'm going to show my cards. Because he was trying to do the whole, I cannot plan.
Well, but no, I mean, like, yes, there's that, but also he really was, I don't know if this really is the first time that he is referring to these people as his family, but he doesn't want to lie to them like he used to. He doesn't want to keep things from them like he used to, because now they're family.
Yeah,
100%.
I agree. I agree with that. And I felt like that's why he was showing them everything. And he was like, oh yeah, and by the way, I was supposed to do this, and this is what happened. And he's like, by the way, here's this thing, here's all these things, here's this, here's the things. I'm being 100% transparent with you. These are the things. You know, and I was
right. Also, my skin is transparent now.
Yeah. P.S. Check out my eyes. You know, whatever. But I gotta say, like, I was disappointed by reactions in his direction,
which is why, to what Shannon said about like this is real and this is reality, and James is hitting it 100%, Renee, when he's kind of, it was directed at the group in general, but when he said, guys, this is not a joke and I might die, I was like, finally some authenticity and some, you know, no guys, stop playing around, stop making this a big surface level joke. This is real. And he held them accountable in that moment, and it played out wonderfully.
Yes. I was disappointed in that reaction, because it's one of those, you know, they did it with now Diptheed. Oh, we'll fix it. Everything will be fine. We'll put you right on back up there. It'll be
Mary
great.
And Pippin,
And then here we are with James, this very real, very visceral thing that you can see. And the first thing they want to do is touch it and fix it. And he's like, listen, this is happening. It's real. It's bad. I might die, you know, like, this is legitimately happening. Right. And then I was disappointed later on when he was like, I don't think I should go to the feast or whatever. And instead of either supporting or whatever and being like, listen, you're my blood brother, your family, I understand, I really want you there, and you know that it is what it is. I get it. It was all about something other than James, and it hurt my feelings a little bit, you know, like I was like, oh, you know, all these, why can't we just understand that he obviously is going through some things, you know? I mean, it's more than just mental these days, obviously. This poor guy.
Yeah, I told people I would stop talking about it, but it's true. I think the party is so dismissive, and they're so, it's obnoxious, to be frank. It's so, everyone, they have such a, we're the heroes of Bingle, hurrah, it's going to be fine at the end of the day attitude, that it does end up dismissing not only NPCs' feelings and the world the things that are happening to them, but we're seeing it, we saw it directly with Civ, and no, I promise I won't get into it. But now we started to see with James. It was like, we had this moment. By the way, you're expected to be here. It was like, but what about his feelings? What about how he feels he looks? What about it's just dismissive and invalidating after invalidating. It's just, I agree, essentially, is what I'm trying to get at.
So that's why I feel like what's coming next, like there's so much potential, and I really don't want to get my feelings hurt, because like they even got direction on, this is how you feel about this. You are disgusted. You are uncomfortable. And they're like, oh, James, you know, that becomes you. That looks pretty good. And you pull that off pretty well. And I mean, we need for this to, you know, go up and not to stay right here and to be okay and happy all the time, because that's a really boring story.
Well, and that's overall,
but I feel like there's fantastic potential for this.
100%, which is a beautiful segue into one of the other things that I really had strong feelings about. So let's just get into it.
Do it.
So again, as we all have agreed, episode 90, I felt the second half was so strong and wonderful. The first half, for me, again, full disclosure, super fan, not a casual viewer, it was honestly infuriating to me. The entire first half. When it comes to playing things so surface level and lighthearted, I think we got the definition of that in this first half. And the first 40-ish minutes was about essentially the party having absolutely no understanding of the big plot points going on in this story. And I just want to say, I do now have some D&D experience, and from what my experience is, even in a private setting where you have private games not being aired, you have your character sheets, you have notes, you have each other, you have clarifying questions to the DM at any point in time. Even in a private game, you are, as a player, are accountable for understanding the events and what's going on in your game. Now you take it to the dungeon run and take it even further. They have rewatchable episodes with every ounce of information that's ever been said. They have Jeff's amazing recaps that he spends a lot of time on each episode, giving all the details. You have those on the wiki, which brings me to the source of being the wiki. You have every character, everything you want. You ultimately have the Discord. They have so much resources at their disposal. I just feel it's not a lot to ask for them to understand the big plot points going on in the story. And I'm not talking knowing who the woman outside the lighthouse was when they met the Viscount. I'm not talking about you needing to know every single NPC we met in Turles. As a player, you are on a live show. I think it's fair to go into a live show understanding what's going on.
So
you guys don't have to comment if you don't want to.
So hi, not a casual fan either. I will say that I find it sometimes, also more than sometimes lately, also infuriating when we as fans know more about what's going on. Like, for example, if there's somebody that happened to be shot off a volcano and their dying words were go somewhere, and we know that and you don't. That's a problem.
And again, it's big plot point facts. I don't. You should not be getting inaccurate information about your own story. This is, for me, bottom line about it is well, this story means a lot to us, especially the non-casual fans. I mean, it was here on the Watch Party episode where me and Scully, as my homegirl, really spent an hour diving into the amazingness that was the Chrono Dragon storyline.
And here is the proof. Do you want me to do the reading?
Go for it, girl.
Okay, I have spent a lot of money on this voice changer, and so here it comes. I'm just kidding. No.
And I, for the first time on stream, cried just with how powerful everything about it was. And then here you are getting inaccurate information, and it was like they didn't even understand the point. And like you said, Renee, it's we're so invested into the story. I'm just asking for big, like, yeah, plot points that are supposed to be meaning a lot to your characters. And
I mean, it's not even just that. It's a world that somebody has built and specifically put these giant bits in, and the world is beautiful. The people in it are beautiful. You are all beautiful. The overall story, I mean, I don't know when we lost it.
mm-hmm. What about you, Shannon? Again, don't have to have thoughts.
Yeah, no, I would consider myself a casual fan, but I think that I'm probably not. I think that I'm probably, more of, I'm not like a super fan. I couldn't quote all of the things that you can quote, Jess, because you can remember everything, and I forget most things. But I know how the show makes me feel. It's horrible, but like what I love is how this show makes me feel, and I remember that. And I remember when I leave a show feeling like it was a missed opportunity, like there were some weak spots in there. And, even if I can't pinpoint all of them for you, I can tell you how I feel about it.
Hey, will you hold up that mug real quick though? Not super fan?
Yeah. Thanks,
yeah, that's what I thought. Not super fan.
Bottom line for me when it comes to that half is that point is Jeff cannot, as talented as he is, as wonderful and the master storyteller that he is, D&D is a teamwork storytelling mechanic, and Jeff cannot tell this story on his own. And bottom line for me, you cannot tell a improv in the moment compelling story if you have absolutely no idea what's going on in the moment or the world around you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to leave it at that.
I'm going to bottom line it with, I love Jeff. I love the world he's built, everything about it. I agree, Shannon, with how it makes you feel. And I remember a lot of how the episodes make me feel as well. I don't have Jess's memory, but I do. Jeff is incredible, but the amount of giving that is happening lately makes me sad.
You shouldn't have to spoon feed them as much as
it makes me real sad. And I just don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. And I'm like, man, these lore drops are incredible. How are we not, like, what happened to when we were putting puzzles together and figuring all this stuff out and all this cool stuff to now we're just like.
Yeah, and
everyone's really comfortable. They shouldn't be comfortable. No one should.
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Well, speaking of comfortable, Shannon, you really keep setting me up to my genuine next topic points.
It's like it's scripted.
But it's not. I love it. Like, Shannon has no idea my thoughts, so it's wonderful. Speaking of feeling comfortable brings me to the second part of what made that first half so infuriating for me. And this goes to directly of the scene where Fahima chose to cast the non-elemental spell in the room.
Elemental.
Yes, thank you, Renee. For me, there's a couple of things about the scene that infuriated me. Ultimately, what happened in the scene was Fahima decided to use her biggest 5th level homebrewed hidden magic / science that she found, ultimately a spell that's supposed to help her take down the big bad. She knows it's an explosion. we blow up a bedroom with 7 allies, few of them squishy mages. That happened. That event happened, and it was a 5-minute metagame between all of them on how to make absolutely no negative repercussions happen to such a, in theory, big decision. And bottom line for me, you cannot, in Act 2, episode 90, 2 years into the show, have the tagline, choices and consequences. Blow yourself up in a room and nothing happens. I don't buy that. I don't like how they spent 5 minutes metagaming to begin with. Play it out straight from the beginning. Play it out, role play it out. Even if mechanic wise, they metagamed it like crazy, the outcome was not authentic and it was not organic for me. I don't see and I don't believe that Human Mama would have been like, wow, this is amazing. By the way, can you heal my arm? I don't find it believable that James would be like, haha, this was great, and wouldn't say, Fahima, this is dangerous. I don't find it believable that Ugo wouldn't have been like, this is why I say Fahima could kill us all. There's no way that that would have been a fun, lighthearted moment where we just all laugh about how you blew up a wall. I talked to someone who I didn't get permission to say who they were. I didn't ask them, so I will not. But I was having this conversation with someone not here on the watch party, and they said that they actually loved how it played out, and they loved how they kind of minimized it and ignored it and moved on. And they basically said that, and I like it when narrative choices have big narrative consequences, and silly, dumb choices have silly, dumb, meaningless consequences. And in theory, I understand that logic, but for me, and I know Renee doesn't see it this way because we talk about it a lot, but for me, the episodes that really hooked me on the show was Turles. I loved Turles. Turles is magical to me.
Turles is fine, but it's not my favorite. But
it's magical to me, and I love it. And it was the part, for example, when they had Nance was supposed to just die. She was supposed to get her throat slit and they were going to move on. But the players / arguably us saved her. She got saved, and Jeff honored that authentic in the moment choice and brought her into the story, and it was wonderful. And is Civ or James going to chase after the thieves? Like everything, every choice, narratively or not, every choice the players at the time seemed to make were going to impact it in a great, organic, anything can happen way. And it was lovely. Fast forward to now, where you can blow yourself up in a bedroom and nothing happens. I just don't think I'm buying that tagline. I don't think that authentic consequences really hold true in this moment. I don't feel that the balance of repercussions versus hurrah, this was an awesome idea, are really balanced. Again, neither of you have to have thoughts.
Well, okay, so my only thing in saying that I was glad that Jeff said, no, let's play this out, is because normally Jeff is very yes and, which is great, it's great, but usually they just do whatever anyway, so I was glad they played it out. However, on the back end, I agree that had I done that in my in-home game, I would have either, blown a hole through there and had villagers coming to see what was up and or attacking me, or I would have been imprisoned, or I would have, had some kind of, I can make all the choices I want, but the world is going to react according to my choice.
Yes.
So I would have had some kind of extenuating consequence. Making that choice. Now this is a different game, so I obviously can't put my DM's rules in this game, but I definitely would have had some kind of consequence because I play a wizard in mine, and I can't just make any old spell, especially a 5th level spell, explode and not expect there to be some kind of effect of damage, even just damage to the place I'm in, but that's damage to a town that I've never been in. They don't know me. I came in here with my group. We went to the Underfury. We, my group overthrew your war chief. Like, what?
Again, for the record, I have nothing against what Fahima did. Kind of what I think you're saying, Renee, is I really believe that the players should be able to do whatever they want, especially if it's organic to their and authentic to their character. Right. And I thought Fahima role played it out. She's very impulsive. A lot of the time, I don't care who's around.
She's back to being reckless. Yes.
Yeah, and good for her. She role played it out. It's going to be a swirl. I mean, she role played it out. It was great. It was authentic. The outcome is 100% what just felt wrong to me. As everybody has pointed out in the past, especially with Oldswatch, it's not about the choices. It's not about making the best choices in the world. It's not about being perfect. It's not about even making smart ones. I love the fact that Fahima is authentic and does reckless things sometimes, but the outcome has to match. Like I said, the scene was just another example and an overall pattern that I feel is just getting so noticeable. And I'm really hoping in the future I get that risk factor back.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, I mean, when you blow stuff up in a town, somebody is probably going to notice or should.
I know we have 2 minutes left, so I kind of wanted to do final thoughts or what you're excited about for this next upcoming episode.
Shannon.
I am super excited to see what happens to James. I talked with Renee a little bit about this week, that I have all these theories of what could happen and where it could go, and every single one of them is like really exciting to me. Every single one of them involves something tragic, but it's all very exciting because that's where this story is headed, and the stakes they've always been high, but that hasn't always been acknowledged. And I feel like we're back on that train, and I'm here for it. I'm really excited about that.
Renee?
So final thoughts. I want this story to be as great as Jeff has envisioned it to be. And it was once, it can be this next episode. You know, I mean, just know your stuff. That's all we want. Just know your stuff.
Okay. My final thoughts are, I'm super excited to go back to Turles. It's not where I wanted us to go, but I've been dying to go back to Turles. I love Turles. Leave my man's balls alone. That's what I want you guys to do. I'm also super excited to see how it plays out, Shannon. I have my own theories about Turles. Super hyped to see it finally come to light. And here you have another edit in because everything decided to just shut off on us because Failwaffle's gonna waffle. So continuing my final thoughts, essentially, we loved the lore that was dropped in episode 89 and 90. The whole Dip Theed, Fallen Sky Child, Calcutta Theed. They were wonderful lore drops. And for someone who understands what's going on in the story, it was actually really fun to see Torvald highlight specific informations that were important, and even how he kind of pushed 2 different pieces of information together, implying that they're relevant and these 2 are hints to the same puzzle. All that was actually so fun. We didn't really get a chance to talk about it on the watch party just because the party hasn't really sat or spoken about the lore. We haven't really had time to fully enjoy the lore that was dropped. So I'm hoping, especially as we go to Turles, that we kind of get to see some of this lore come into effect and be spoken about by the party. Again, tons of theories that I'm excited to see play out. Tons of fans have tons of awesome, fun theories to see finally play out. I think Turles is going to be fun. Turles has a special place in my heart. So even though we're not going to the very obvious No Nezeron's grave, Turles, I guess, is the second silver lining for me because I've been dying to go there. The other thing that I'm super excited for, and I really can't wait, and I'm holding my breath until we get it, Whitebeard's stat block. I have all the energy to keep this going all year, baby. But now, please, Stand by for news.
Today marks day 800 of Turles's moratorium on magic. The city plans to celebrate with a not too stunning display of modest fireworks and warm milk at bedtime, which will still be early.
Since the eruption of Sky Scorcher Peak a fortnight ago, a dark cloud of suffocating ash still hangs over Daltothum and the surrounding region. Wildlife and citizens of Ain alike have succumbed to the effects of the aftermath. Already common to the miners in the area, we have seen an alarming increase in cases of pneumonia ultramicroscopic silicovolcaniconiosis, or black lung.
You just wanted to say that word.
Which word? Pneumonia ultramicroscopic silicovolcaniconiosis? Yes, Amanda. Yes, I did.
Our top story tonight is an update in the 20-year-old famous cold case of Lydia, the tattooed lady. Steph, over to you.
Thanks, Amanda. Pink is really your color. As the story goes, Lydia and her cohort awoke with their belongings in flames, a fire they appear to have started themselves. They were suddenly and inexplicably homeless, jobless, and being charged with arson. On top of that, the bank had come calling on a loan they could never hope to pay, as they seemed to have lost their expensive contraption. But the wildest part was that they also claimed to have amnesia. They could explain none of it, especially the tattoos they now sported.
All right. Here's the thing. This is like the oldest unsolved mystery that I've ever heard of. Picture this, okay? There I am, minding my own business, cell sorting. And, next thing I know, I wake up, all my stuff's burning. My apparatus Aqualish is missing. That was the most expensive thing I had. I don't know where it is. And I have this giant tattoo on my chest. I mean, it's my whole chest. It's a phoenix. I don't know how it got there. I have no idea what happened to me. And nobody seems to care. Somebody, tell me what happened.
Just wild, folks. Back to Shannon and Amanda in the studio.
This just in. The orc village of Thorn has acquired a new war chief, Uggo Ragefist, lately of the Heroes of Bingle. When asked to comment, one orc said, "We thought that Braka only lose power when pig fly. Well, that happened." Reports of strange demon hybrid creatures keep pouring in from all across Ain. Steph is in Typh with the story.
Thanks, Shannon. I'm not going to lie. I'm starting to feel like I'm just getting all the assignments Jess and Renee didn't want. We've been on location for 2 days, and our contract adventurers have dispatched 13 terrifyingly adorable constructs. Don't let their cuteness fool you. These creatures do not like pats as much as they like fresh snacks. Our driver, Dave, has been relieved of his left middle finger. Once the team finishes clearing the corpses on the bridge, we're getting the Vardo out of here. Oh, if anyone is wondering, the corpses are all wearing pants. Back to you, Shannon.
I'll be sure to share your concerns with the guys upstairs. And so awful to hear about Dave's finger. It was his favorite one. So handy in traffic. Jess, what's the news in Axbright?
Oh, hang on. So Axbright's the same as ever. Cush assignment, this one. Steph pulled the short straw yet again. I mean, nothing really happens here. I don't know. Maybe the post office will make deliveries this afternoon. What's that, Patrick? Oh, sorry. No mail yet again today. Back to you, Shannon.
The Heroes of Bingle have been making waves in Olsvach, and the citizens have come forward to let their voices be heard. Renee has the story.
I'm here in Lostrana at the Moose and Squirrel, where the general mood here is more tense than usual.
There was no kerfuffle. The guards were all in their nap time. Only crazy people hear booming voice. You going to listen to crazy people?
Bingly schmingly dingle. These jokers are no heroes. They're not even gardeners. Look what they did to my plants. They dig hole without shovel. Without shovel. Look what's left of Matilda. This Matilda. This old left of her. Heroes.
A bingo? I went to the doctor for that last week. I'm just waiting for my neighbor Vlad to come bring me that cream so I can get rid of it. I think it's right here on my wrist. He'll be okay. He'll come bring me that cream.
My husband Vlad, have you seen him? This morning he woke up and he was in such a good mood. He kissed me on the cheek. I have not seen him since. Oh, where is my husband?
The general consensus around Lostrana is,
Who the hell are the heroes of Bingo? Who are you people?
I think Lostrana has spoken. Back to you, Shannon.
And there you have it. Join us at 7 for a special cooking segment sponsored by Marakume Farms, where our very own Dondo Karigna will teach us how to make mountain stew. This was Eyewitness News at 5. Anthropomorphic Muppet, out.
Humankind.
Be
both.